Let's continue the morning session, and now it's the time to listen to Biolvegas y E-cogeneración Cabanillas, two different ways to produce biomethane. Óscar Bartomeu is engineer and works in biogas and biomethane plants. He has a 20-year experience in the sector, and since 2008, he's a manager or specialized engineer, which is called BIOVEC, Medio Ambiente SL. I believe Óscar is somewhere here. Óscar?
Óscar, pues cuando quieras, todo el escenario para ti.
Óscar, please take the floor.
Bueno, yo soy más bajito.
I'm a little bit shorter.
Vale. Bueno, ya me han presentado. Óscar Bartomeu, BIOVEC, llevo desde que salí de la carrera y ya tengo unas cuantas canas pues, trabajando en el sector de biogás y al cabo de unos años pues de trabajar en el sector de tratamiento de purines y del biogás pues de ingeniería después con Purgapors pues realizar la primera planta de biogás así un poco de podigestión moderna de España.
Constructed to build the first biogas plant, based on the slurry and waste.
Al final, pues de muchos años hemos tenido pues la experiencia en la realización de las 15 plantas de biogás, algunas más grandes, otras más pequeñas, muchas para motor eléctrico. Se paró por un decretazo el tema de la electricidad y realmente pasamos unos años muy oscuros en el biogás en España. Recuerdo alguna vez venir a Valladolid, que ya era un poco por melancolía, digamos, porque la feria de biomasa en la cual se incluía el biogás, pues había un stand o ninguno con nadie,
dedicated to biogas was not really important at that time. So I came just because I was romantic. So anyway, we were lucky enough to work in different pilot plants, and that allowed us to survive during these years by installing, pilot plants, and also allowed us to learn and to test equipment, things, technologies, and to be up to date regarding advances in the biogas sector.
Y también una cosa que nos gusta mucho hacer y que insistimos mucho en hacer es el tema de auditorías y de análisis de proyectos, ¿vale? Sobre todo hay mucho boom ahora de gente nueva en el sector
the incorporation of new people, the sector, and the presence of these new people. So before investing money, risking investment of money, I believe it is worth to be very sure about what you are doing, what are the risks, what are you going to encounter. Because the biogas thing is not easy to handle. These are some of the references, plant images or captions.
Me hubiera gustado que más, pero estuvimos
I wanted to offer you more
prácticamente parado haciendo cuatro cosas
for many years we didn't have much activity.
Y ahora paso al primer.
And here we have the first example. And the explanation here is quite simple. We had a little work at BIOVEC. We decided not to go abroad, not to pack our bags and go to the UK or Germany or France or Italy, any country where this was booming. So we did something interesting, and with some partners from an existing biogas plant, we developed a biomethane plant project when this was just beginning to hit in Germany. We were far from the boom in the last few years in France, Italy, and in the UK. So the advantage we had here is that with time and patience, we developed an activity project specifically for biomethane with a specific location for a biomethane plant, thinking of the new technology that was coming to Europe. That we thought that in Spain had to come because we were 1 or 2 decades late. But since we are in a place called Europe, at some point they would take us from our ears and they'd say, this is essential, as it's finally happened. The advantage we had is that when we began with the plant, all permitting was ready, even the building permit. So this was implemented in April this year with about 50,000 tons of waste, and it generates 30 gigawatt per year. And these are implementations, and we have important work to train staff. And in this country, there's little training culture in biogas. And there is a lot of work to fit the biology and look for the best resources and mixtures. And this plant is working very well. We're very happy. And it's a great example for us regarding the future that we think biogas has in Spain. These are mid-sized plants and not mega plants, because many people are now trying to promote those. And next, I'm going to give you the example of another biogas plant where we're partners and where we've been working for many years, collaborating in many other things, which is Cabanillas. And this is an existing plant. It began operating about 11 years ago. And we really struggled when we lost the premium because the plant was done, paperwork was presented, and due to something stupid, by the fact that we did not need a guarantee, but rather a copy of the guarantee, we were out of an electrical premium, and for years we had to add money to keep the activity going. And after a few years, the government realized and said, well, the 4 or 5 people who had finished plans ready and who for some reason just stayed with the paper, pending to sign at whatever office, and that Friday a decree was approved and everything went berserk. So we suffered for a few years. Then we got an electrical premium for a few plants that allowed us to keep working. This plant has great experience managing resources. The people who manage this for more than a decade have been fighting with foams, with ways that may be too heavy, and it's hard to get rid of them. So it really takes a lot of years of experience of these people working, and eventually, even before the arrival of the biomethane boom, we decided to request authorization to increase the plant. So it placed 2 more digesters in 2 stages. The first one has been installed, the second one will be installed shortly, and we missed the upgrading in some facilities, but unfortunately we're kind of delayed regarding the gas network. The gas network is 2.9 kilometers away, and there is a fun fight with the gas companies there. Fight or dialogue, so to say, with gas companies regarding who pays what, how, and at which price. And mainly, who does projects, and the times of the projects, and the implementations. And this means that we now have a few months delay, and hopefully in January or February or March we'll be able to do the implementation, because things kind of got delayed here. And we bought the upgrading a bit earlier because we did it at a point when we really had many problems with materials, and because there was massive inflation. So we're kind of afraid that if we bought it in 2022, it'd be cheaper than in 2023. That was the reason why, knowing that we're kind of delayed with the upgrading, with the line and the injection module, we it was good to buy it at that time, and it's good to buy with time. So we did the upgrading, we selected the product, and the advantage of this plant is that whenever we turn the plant on, we'll be working at 80 or 90%, because we already have the material and the experience and the plant, and we'll be able to generate more renewable energy and stop buying from Mr. Putin. So where are we heading towards? And we have some key questions. Where, how, with whom, and when you think of that for a biogas or biomethane plant, it's essential to adapt to each situation. You cannot just have a plant model and say, well, I do plants of 300,000 square meters of slurry and waste. And, well, that might seem crazy, but you need to adapt to the reality of the sector and the area and what you can do. Not just regarding volume, but also regarding the plant type. I mean, solid material is different from liquid material. Working with sun Dutch is different from not working with it, and everything depends on the area and the project type, what you choose for the project, and we're being very careful to choose who we work with and where, because there are areas and situations that we don't want. We prefer simple things instead of making things more complex for ourselves. And realism is very important. A few years ago, I had a boss who looked like Mr. Pujol, a famous, very old Spanish politician. And he used to say, well, everything looks good on paper. And he was totally right, by the way. We need to be very careful and go to real matters before we think of something from an office in Madrid. We should go to the place and speak to people in the area to know what we are speaking about. Otherwise, everything looks good. Say, biomethane at 95, my payback is so much. You're going to treat 150,000 tons. Okay. But then you jump into reality, really. And for us, the local stakeholders are key. Biogas biomethane plant is very close to the territory. And if you have the right people in the area to work with, you have many success options. If you are alone and think you can do everything, it might be tricky. You might get into trouble. Being agile is also very important because many people, even though everyone has their own personality, I mean, we often think about things too much. And if you have too many Excel sheets, and you're like, well, modify these plan to this or that, well, let's change this here or there. Well, the important bit is clearly know the plant model, business model, and launch it. And then you'll bump with the details. You'll find the details. And also, resources are finite. We often speak about creating thousands of plants in Spain. But West is what it is. West is what it is. We don't have any more. And there is a balance between energy and waste that we'll gradually see how it changes. And for projects, it's very important to insure part of the waste and not to get crazy to insure everything. I mean, some people are like, well, my lawyer says I need to sign this or that to 100% of the waste. For a plant that you're going to build in 2 or 3 years, is someone going to sign that their waste is going to go to your place and you went to see it once wearing a tie and said, I'm going to build a plant here. I mean, that's not how things work. But anyway. Well, the following is a Catalan joke, which is that the boomerang, I mean, there's a Catalan song that says, well, throwing a boomerang and getting it to come back needs a professional. It cannot be done overnight. And that's just a tip, according to what we're seeing in the sector. There are many new people, and we're delighted to see them. But we need to be careful. I mean, right-sizing a plant, finding the right location, getting the permits, building it and operating it properly is tricky. So we should not think that we are too clever and able to get the boomerang back in our hand overnight. I mean, the failure options here are just massive. And this is quite complex. It needs to be managed really well. And you need to look for the right partners to do that. And it might get cumbersome looking for opinions and having the right approach. So it's really multidisciplinary as a task. It requires from knowledge about electricity to waste, to digestate and fertilization, up to construction, civil works, and even regulations, amongst other topics. So we need to be careful here with overconfidence and miracles and, of course, bargains. Sometimes I find people who sell things. Well, we can generate with just a fourth of your digester. I can work magic here, and I can generate more energy than exists in the organic matter. You know, I really have found this oftentimes. The principle of Lavoisier, nothing is created or destroyed, everything is transformed, is just thrown away. We have a few Nobel Prize laureates here in our country. And they just ignore all the physics of principle and they generate more energy than we have in biomass with a fourth of your digestion. Well, the plant is a bit more expensive because they are advanced technologies, as they say. So we should be careful with this because miracles are very limited. So, you know, not too far from Spain we have Lourdes, the saint, and she might work miracles, but do not believe people who ignore all the basic principles of physics, saying they're going to achieve the same results with a fourth of the things. Even if you find a Mercedes car for 100 euros, you know there's going to be a catch and you will not buy it. So a more expensive biogas plant, well, some people will buy that, and we need to be careful with that. And well, that's it from me. I also wanted to avail of this opportunity because this is a corporate presentation, giving you a few details, but I think we need to avail of these presentations and these meetings because in the sector there are a few basics that need to be properly regulated and we need to work on that. And you often find that once you are building or have built a plant, once you're in the fight, we need a regulation of the connection to the gas network, similar to electricity. Right now, we're in the hands of the gas companies and their goodwill, and whatever they want to charge it, and the way they want to charge it, and the conditions they deem appropriate. And that's not good for gas companies. or even for us. Because gas companies are kind of defenseless. They need to guarantee gas quality and network quality. There's no clear rule saying A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So that this person every so often has to set his gas with these features, and that the injection pose or module, as they call it, needs to have this or says that and do this or that and the counter be in this way. No, all that does not exist in our country, unfortunately. But in the electric sector, it does exist. You need a SWOT analysis with some cells. You go to a sample, buy the module, connect it. The person from the company will come to make sure everything is okay, and off you go. I mean, it might take a few months. It might take a few months to come and look at the transformer, but we need to set clear rules on this. And this is really work for the associations, administration, and so on. And then we have another tricky problem, which is the fertilizers and digestates. There is a big mess out there in that area. We also need to work and clarify this to make the work easier. Administratively, we need to make the work easier because administration workers need to be proactive and they often see the need for this technology. But digestate is something amazing. It's a great fertilizer for the fields. It needs to be managed well, of course. We're the first people in the sector who need to request the right management of this, because if we do things well, if we manage things well, that'll be good for all of us. But we need, altogether, I include the administration here, we need to work a lot to make laws appropriately for rules to be clear, unequivocal and transparent. And that's a message not related to my presentation, but I really need to get that out of my system. Are there any questions? Am I okay time-wise?